immersion, actually in what I call the English immersion program, they put me in a regular English kindergarten because they were concerned at the time, the district and the school was concerned that I would not learn English. As you could hear, that didn't happen. And then I started Spanish immersion in first grade in the second class. We moved, Michelle and I moved to El Marino when I was in second grade. She was in third. And I continued through sixth grade there. And then when it was time to go to the middle school, that was it. The immersion ended in sixth grade at El Marino. So when I got to the middle school, my options were Spanish 1, learning my colors and numbers all over again, or doing something different. And I decided to take French. And so I took French in 7th and 8th grade and learned a lot. And it was pretty easy for me because of the similarities in the languages. But then by 9th grade, I decided to take Spanish for native speakers. And that's what I continued with throughout high school. And then in college, I took conversational Spanish and grammar-based Spanish. And that's where I really learned the grammar. Because in immersion, it was songs and dances and poetry and rhymes. And the grammar wasn't emphasized as much. I do want to say, however, that I have a video of when I was in 3rd grade. And over and over and over, it has come up this whole, how do students pick up the register and the accent? And there's a video of when I was in 3rd grade, speaking with my 3rd grade teacher at the time. There was a group of us. We were talking about mailing letters to family members. And this was my Spanish, for those of you who understand Spanish. This was my Spanish. Yo tengo una familia en Florida y yo también puedo hablar con ellos por el teléfono. I mean, literally, that was my Spanish. And I think it's because I picked it up from my classmates, from people around me. I pulled that accent. Obviamente, ahora si les hablo, ya no hablo así. And then another comment I want to make is the Spanish spoken in class versus the Spanish we speak with each other, and that accent that just came out now. That accent that just came out is my Cuban side of the family accent. When I speak in class, I speak a very, what I would call academic or teacher language. I use many different vocabulary words for example, glasses. I'll say gafas, espejuelos, lentes, anteojos, to give the children a variety of vocabulary words so that they may not understand gafas, they may not understand, but oh, anteojos, I got that one. You know, and of course the TPR and the whole thing. But a funny story is that one of the adjuncts came in who happens to also be Cuban, and she and I started speaking in Spanish to each other. And when she left, the kid said, "What language was that?" So there is definitely that difference. And last but not least, I do want to just say how very proud I am to be part of this program, how grateful I am that it's still around, amazed that I get to teach every day and be just like my role models of my teachers when I was growing up, and thankful that people like Madeline Ehrlich developed all and have the Mexican exchange trip, which my daughter will be going on this summer. Just absolutely incredible and grateful and thankful, and thanks for coming.
Okay, we're going to move on to Michelle Barmazal, who was part of the original first class in the Spanish Immersion program, currently serves as the Chief Operating Officer of Gifted Conference Planners and co-coordinator of Beyond IQ. She is also sits on the Global Advisory Council of the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship and the Deputy Registrar for Voyager Homeschooling Co-op. And so we welcome her back to California, and thank you very much for joining us. You want to grab that microphone?
It's loud. Hi. So
So yes, I think I'm the oldest immersion graduate from Culver City. I think there was about 6 of us who went through from kindergarten all the way through 6th grade. And I have fond memories of Andrew Cohen coming with his guitar and us singing all sorts of great songs in Spanish and wearing brown on Thursdays. I think he used to come on Thursdays so I could be the patita and patito color de café. So we had a conference in '92, I think, where Liz and I sat on a very similar panel. And up till then, I was just starting graduate school. And so now it's been almost 20 years later, and I have seen the impact. At that point, I was asked, has this really impacted your life? And I remember thinking, I don't know, I speak French, and I work in French, and I'm doing all this stuff in French. And then the more I thought about it, I realized, well, I never would have gotten to French if it wasn't for the Spanish. And now I look back on a regular basis and think, wow, this has had such a major impact on my life.
Louder, please.
Get a hearing aid. It's my father. I did do a year abroad in college. I went to France. There was a few of us in 4th grade, and I don't know if they still do that, but in 4th and 5th and 6th grades, we got to have a little bit of French, as well as the Spanish. So that made me really interested in French. And I was an interpreter in this 84 Olympics in LA. I was an interpreter for Spanish, but everybody and their brother spoke Spanish in LA. But the fact that I understood a little bit of French, because I'd taken some more in high school, made me really valuable. And that made me want to learn it, but I thought the only way I could learn it is to immerse myself in it. So I did a year abroad, went to France, came back. I came back and I got an MBA here, because in Europe, an MBA from the States was much more valuable than a European one. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come back. I would have stayed over there, I think. And luckily, I came back because I met my husband, who happened to be trilingual, is from Montreal, and speaks French and Hebrew as well as English. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we ended up together because of that. So you're noticing a theme about the influence of the SIP program. Let's see. At Stanford, I helped launch the Global MBA program, the certificate that year, which I actually didn't earn because we were just launching it. So, but they do have that now, and it's quite active. After graduation, we moved to New York and then to Switzerland. So my husband works for a Swiss foundation, and I had 2 kids in New York, and my third one was born in Switzerland, and we were living in France. I had a Spanish-speaking person helping me with the children. Ever since the eldest was 3 months old, I've always had a Spanish-speaking person helping me out, and I wanted to make sure they never spoke English. Because the kids, once they figured out they spoke English, then they'd start speaking English with them. So all 3 of my kids speak Spanish, but have never really had any formal instruction, so their grammar is atrocious. But they're all sitting in the back there, and they do understand you if you speak to them in Spanish. Let's see. So my eldest had 3 years in French-speaking schools. My second one had 2 years in French-speaking schools. We had a Spanish-speaking nanny at home. We moved back to the States 5 years ago, and they're in Jewish school, and they're all like in Hebrew. So my big guy over there has got 4 languages under his belt, although he's lost a little bit of the French. I use all of my languages on a regular basis. With my husband still working for the Swiss Foundation, we go to Geneva quite often. I have friends over there who are French-speaking, who are English-speaking, and who are Spanish-speaking. And the original question, why would a parent put a kid in immersion? Why wouldn't you? Why not? Why wouldn't you if you had that opportunity? I mean, in Europe, if you spoke less than 5 languages, you were considered a dunce. Here, if you speak more than 1 language, it's amazing. And it's impacted so much. I think I got into Stanford Business School because I was trilingual. I think I was able to get the jobs I got after school because I was trilingual. I think that so many doors have opened to me throughout my life because I speak all these languages. And having a husband from Montreal, we go up, we use French all the time. It touches every bit of my life in every way. And thank you, Mom, for putting me in this.